Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Geekfest Rants. Today we have our Celebration 6 special. We've been talking about this episode for quite a bit, and in this time around, we were lucky enough to go the same location as last time, which was in Florida. Usually the celebrations, they travel all around the country, Los Angeles, Indianapolis. Some of them are outside the country even, like Japan and London, England. But this time around, they stopped once again like last time in Florida, which was good for us because, we are already on the East Coast, so it's a little easier to make that trip. We never were able to go to the previous ones, and once again, this was our second visit. We were there for all 4 of those days, and we stayed some extra days to do some other stuff, including Star Tours. But we were there with the same group we were there last time, my family and our friend and contributor Mike Sutton. And we also met up some of our friends there, and our other contributor, actual Geekfest Rants, Steve, who was there with his family. But let's today talk to my family and Mike about what we saw. So, hello, everybody. I have Kim here. Say hi, Kim.
Hi.
I have Mike here.
Hi, everyone.
I have Kyle.
Hi.
And myself. And let's begin first with our first day there, which was Thursday. Usually what's considered to be the slowest of the days for these type of conventions. Not only if you're dealing with a Comic-Con type of convention, but celebrations. Thursday is usually the slow day because, most people go on the weekends, especially locals or people that couldn't get out of work and that sort of thing. They'll be there on the weekend. But Thursday was our first day there. And what I remember from Thursday was that the first panel I went to was the same panel that I went the previous time, and it was called Bottle of Water and a Plan. And this is a panel that is run by the hosts of Star Wars Action News, and what they do is they give you a idea of what are the procedures, if you will, of how the convention works, where you should be, what you should do, what's the etiquette of, you just hassle people for autographs or that sort of thing. So they go through the whole thing. They tell you some tips and stuff like that. And personally, for me, it's a chance to go and meet up again with the hosts of this particular podcast that I usually listen to. And I was there, I remember last time with Kyle, but this time I went by myself. And again, it's a good way to kind of start the day slowly. You don't have to go running off the bat to a panel, running for your life, because you do spend most of the day either online waiting for something to happen or in the dealer room, which, again, it's the same format as last time. You have the dealer room, which is the gigantic room where it's, like I said before, 95% Star Wars dealers, merchandise, vintage, new, all kinds of stuff like that. You have the big stage panel rooms where, for example, a celebrity will be talking about something and you have a lot of people that are listening to him. And then the smaller panel rooms, which are more like the collectible rooms and that sort of thing, where they'll do smaller class session types of presentations. So you're basically running from all these things from one to the other. And that's how we spend most of the day. Now, let me ask Mike, for example. Mike, do you remember your first day? Is there anything specific you did that you remember?
Not really. I just ran into the dealer's room. I didn't need the panel to tell me how to run it. We're pros. Come on, second time around. I just went right into like I said, the dealer's room, see what's there. And just see what besides buying things, they have all these displays that it's out there. So I wanted to hit that stuff early.
Were you taking pictures first?
Oh, yeah. As soon as I got there, cameras out there, and taking pictures. And I took over, I think, about 600 pictures over the weekend of just the people in the costumes, the dioramas, the giant Rancor, the life-size Rancor, so you can have your picture taken.
That was pretty cool, that Rancor.
Yeah, the only bad thing is I didn't get my picture in front of the Rancor. But what can you do? And, of course, the slave layers were back. The Wampa was back. They had a lot of things to do. A speeder bike. You can pose with a speeder bike. And the rider, you can get into a snow speeder, which I never got a chance to go in and do that. And again, just so much stuff on the floor. That was my first day. I wanted to get a lot of that stuff not out of the way, but just start getting the pictures while the crowd's a little less.
Well, one of the things about the first day also that, if you're a collector or if you're looking for something specific that's only being unveiled or sold for the first time at the convention is make a run for the store. So I remember, I think on the first day I went to the Celebration store. Now, this is different than the dealer room. The dealer room is just independent dealers that are bringing in their toys. I'm talking about the store from the actual convention, and they sell merchandise specifically for the convention. And I remember there we picked up a couple things, some patches, because I like to collect patches, and a pin or two. For our daughter, I remember we picked up a baby Ewok. They were selling these. They called them like a bunch of Ewoks or something, or Ewoks in a basket.
Exactly, yeah. You could pick, 1, 2, 3, 4 Ewoks to put in a basket, and they were all little baby Ewoks, and of course she had to have one.
Yeah, they're a little similar if you remember from the 1980s, the original Ewoks they put out, except they're the little tiny one. They actually look like baby Ewoks. Their little faces look like babies. It's really weird. But yeah, in that story, I mean, they had tons of merchandise, high-end stuff, all types of apparel, glassware, all types of stuff like that. So sometimes it's worth making a run for that. Now, if you were an exhibitor or some kind of presenter or something, or we were associated with the convention, I believe Wednesday, the night before we even showed up, they were open for them. And a lot of those people went and grabbed all their stuff the night before, because I remember even before the convention started, people were posting pictures left and right on the internet about what they were finding, and it's like, oh my God, it's already open. But no, it was just for people, internal people.
Yeah, and for anybody that wants to go when the next celebration rolls around, they only have a certain amount of items. Like if it's a special pin or action figures, they'll only sell like 200 for the day, 300. So if you want to get there early in the morning, pick it up. Because if you wait 2 hours, 3 hours, they're gone. And a lot of times people would walk up, don't you have this figure, this little statue? And they said, nope, we had 300, we sold out. We'll have more again tomorrow.
Right.
So they don't put them all out at one shot. They're giving everybody a chance to pick them up.
And that's not just the Celebration store. We're talking about a lot of the official dealers down there, even the manufacturers that are there representing their companies, same deal. They would put out certain freebies, or even, some stuff is free. They give away some stuff, but even the stuff they're selling, they'll put it on in waves day after day. And it was crazy. I remember seeing this line for the Cotamundi table. Cotamundi is mainly known for manufacturing playing cards. Every day they were giving away a free different playing card. And on the fourth day, they were apparently giving out a super special card. The line of people waiting for that free card was longer than any other line I saw at the convention. And I couldn't believe it. It's like, these people are standing in line for a free card?
Even the Slave Leia's line?
It was, Mike, I did not see a longer line than that one. But the funny thing about
I was going to say, I wonder why.
Well, the other thing about the store purchases that, like Mike was saying, that stuff runs out. I wanted to buy some stuff. And like Mike said, they were already sold out. You go up there, you look at the list of things they have, and you ask for whatever, what happened to this, what happened to that. They had a list of items that you could pay for them there, and then they would ship them to you. So there were a couple of patches that I wanted that I was never able to get there, and eventually they're going to show up here at some shape or form. And because of that, they were offering everybody free shipping. So it was like a courtesy thing because of the fact that they couldn't keep up with the demand of the materials. But let's move on to some other things that we actually saw. And I remember this is something that I was there with Mike, I believe, and I think Kyle might have been there too. We went to the Star Wars Music Collectibles panel. And this is an interesting panel because this was run by one of the guys who not only is a patch collector, but he's a music collector. And what he does is he collects any form of Star Wars soundtracks or offshoot Star Wars related material on any format of sound, especially the old stuff, meaning records, cassettes, 8-tracks even, and I think he might have even shown some reel-to-reel stuff that he found somewhere. But do you remember, Mike, some of the weird stuff that he was showing us?
Yeah, his big thing, he was collecting 8-tracks, and he would find any kind of 8-track from any country. Then he found one from Japan, like Italy.
Yeah. Australia.
Was it Australia? But yeah, several countries, and then it was LPs. Same thing. He had several pressings of the original Star Wars Episode 4 on vinyl, but it was from all different countries. And those were the things that he looked for. And
he said mainly it wasn't so much the recording that he was interested in, because the recordings are basically all the same. It's the artwork of the packaging. Some of these, and again, some of the foreign stuff, the packaging is so bizarre that you can't even make sense of that it's a Star Wars item. And sometimes he was also showing us stuff that had nothing to do with Star Wars, but people would make the artwork look like Star Wars because they wanted to kind of jump on the bandwagon, even though it wasn't a Star Wars related material. Now, what I remember, one of the things they asked him was, do you listen to all your stuff? And he says, honestly, I don't. I don't have time to listen to it because he says a lot of it is garbage, like some of those offshoot things, some of like the Christmas album, and some of those songs are just you can't listen to them anymore. He's sick and tired of them, but he loves the art.
So bad.
Oh no, yeah, and he was playing samples. I remember while we were there, he would play some samples of some stuff, and some stuff was really painful to listen to. And one of the things, usually like 3/4 into the panel, they will, usually these guys have some kind of PDF presentation or a slideshow or something like that. But at the end, they usually open up the panel for Q&As. And I wanted to ask a question, and I did. I asked them, is there any, or has there ever been any holiday special related music sold? A soundtrack or something, even though I really don't remember there being too much of a sound. There was some music, but it was weird music. And he says the only thing they ever put out from the holiday special was the group Jefferson Starship. They put up the single from the song in the special, but that's about it. There was never any major merchandising of that special whatsoever, because we know that obviously Lucas absolutely hates the special. But
so do the fans.
I know, yeah, no kidding. But it's interesting because I remember, Mike, you were telling me that you have from one of your collections an 8-track. Is that true?
Yeah, I have original Star Wars and 8-track still at home, and I think my 8-track player still works. According to my brother, he actually says it still works, and we could listen to it.
Is it an 8-track, a stereo attachment, or a car stereo attachment?
No, home theater, home stereo. Just got to hook up the speakers. It's still sitting in his room, believe it or not.
Wow, I remember the first car we had was a 74 Ford Maverick, and the Maverick had only an 8-track player in it. And so the first music we ever got, we would go to flea markets and just buy 8-tracks so our stupid car could play something other than the AM, FM radio. You couldn't put a cassette player on it back then. And then we ended up with so many 8-tracks that we bought an adapter for our stereo and then an adapter for cassettes that could be played on future cars so we can listen to these stupid 8-tracks, which was like, why are we doing this? And then I remember there was a regular cassette to 8-track adapter. It was pretty sad.
Dude, that is very lame.
I wish I could find those 8-tracks. That would be great. I wonder if I had any. I don't remember having any Star Wars 8-tracks.
Yeah, I need to find mine just to say, yep, I got it.
Well, if you ever want to get rid of it,
I know it's out there.
There's a home that could use it.
You offered up a free home, and it will be taken care of.
I'll adopt your 8-track. How about you, Kim? Did you see anything that day?
Oh, yeah. Both Amanda, your daughter and mine, Amanda and I knew that the very first thing we needed to hit was the diorama. At Celebration 5, we were involved with the Hoth diorama, which was such a great experience. And so we wanted to, do that again. So Frank Diorio, who is the guy in charge of the Diorama Workshop, and it's dioramaworkshop.com, he's been the mastermind behind these dioramas for years at Celebration. And this time was Return to Tatooine. It was huge, over 400 feet of dioramas. And what happens is, for anybody that hasn't done this or hasn't had the time or just hasn't gone to Celebration, you get checked in, you get a special pass, much like your pass into the convention, but it's special for the Diorama Workshop. And you go in and they have setups inside the framework of this diorama. Your first table, you'll be doing, I guess, like cutting and gluing. And the next table would be, like plastering or painting, depending what they wanted you to do. This time around, you could choose between making houses for Tatooine, different kinds, little houses, big houses. People got crazy and made incredible designs. They also made caverns out of like brown paper. They had a pod racing area. They made tents for sand people. They made moisture evaporators. So people were very busy, and his team, Frank Diorio's team, made this incredible sand crawler, all out of I guess it was foam core and stuff like that. For us, we did houses, and we took, simple box, taped the box together. We cut out windows, doors. We made little flaps over windows.
Now, is it a multi-day process to build these things, or you do that all in one shot?
You can do it all in one shot. However, the pass gets you in whenever you want to work on your piece. For us, we wound up putting the boxes together, doing our cutting, going to the glue gun table, gluing like little awnings over windows, gluing boxes together. We made like a rope ladder kind of thing. And then we went to another table where they had this like plaster coated gauze, and you coated the entire thing with that. And, you smeared it around so it kind of looked cemented. And then we let it dry. And then later on, we came back and we painted it. And then that dried. And then the people that run the diorama, they place it. And the really cool thing is they have so many toys that, they've accumulated. The staff has accumulated for weeks ahead of time. They were asking for people to donate like Hasbro toys and, the action figures, and they had tons, and they set it up all over this diorama. Eventually, Frank DiOrio is planning on, having the whole set up, like I think they do like a fast speed video of the entire process and the finished product. So looking forward to seeing that one day.
Well, tell us about, even though this happened at the end of the convention, what happens when you're done with the whole thing and everybody's done looking at it on the last day?
Oh, the last
what
day.
Happens?
The last day, it's funny, at the last celebration 5, I just remember them saying, okay, it's over. You can take your piece home, whatever you made, you can take home, and you can take whatever toys were put into the piece you made or were sitting on it, you could take that too. Right. And it was a madhouse. It was a zoo. It was crazy. People were just grabbing things. This time what they did was phenomenal. They had kids all take raffles tickets, and they gave away like prominent toys according to raffle numbers, and the kids were just waiting around, and if their number was called, it was awesome. And then they also had some boxes where they put like 30 little toys like action figures and stuff in, and you could win a box. And then after all that main stuff was gone, you could go and get your stuff and grab anything that's left over. So I think the kids really, really enjoyed that, and it was really generous, and it was so well done. And Frank DiOrio's dioramas have been the highlight for me and for our daughter Amanda, right? And I think Kyle enjoyed it a lot too. And I think as long as he continues to do them at celebrations, they'll be like the highlight for us.
Tell us about the stuff they brought home.
Let's see. We brought home houses that, from Tatooine, and they brought home action figures. They got some action figures out of the deal, right? Yeah. What action figures did you get? What, Kyle, do you remember?
We got him Klaatu.
Klaatu.
We got him a Manaman. We got him Mustafar, a lava worker.
And it's just such a great way to get kids involved, but not just kids, because the first day that we created something, my parents were with us, my mom and dad, and my dad got so into making this little house. He was just, people really get into it from young to old, and families can build together. It's really a lot of fun.
Let's take a little break now and give you some information on an upcoming event we're going to be participating in. Coming up on October 11th through the 14th, we have New York Comic Con once again. We were there last year with our Geekfest Rants booth, and we are going to be there once again this year, representing our podcast and having fun at the convention. For those of you not very familiar with Comic Con, especially New York Comic Con, they do it every year. It's been at the Jacob Javits Center for a number of years now. And to give you an idea of the type of guests that you will have a chance to meet if you go, you have Adam West, the original Batman from television. The cast of The Walking Dead is going to be there to talk about their new season and some of the new characters who are guests. Not only is Andrew Lincoln going to be there, but some of these new upcoming eagerly awaited characters like Michonne and the Governor. The actors who portray these characters are going to be there, along with Michael Rooker and some other favorites. We have Bill Paxton, genre favorite, one of my personal favorites, from Aliens to True Lies to Titanic. If you're a fan of weird science, Bill Paxton has just about done it all. Christopher Lloyd from Back to the Future will be there, making an appearance like he did on Celebration 6. Ian McDermott will be there to participate in a panel and go and do the autograph rounds like a lot of these guys do. It's a great opportunity not only to listen to some of your favorite stars talk about what shows they're on and what movies they're making, but you also have an opportunity later in the day, on different days sometimes, to get their autograph. You purchase their autographs. It's a great, great way of, getting some good pictures. They're also going to have Jonathan Nolan, one of the creators of Person of Interest, will be there. Peter Davidson, one of the previous Doctor Who's from Lord of the Rings, Sean Astin, Seth Green from Robot Chicken, Terry O'Quinn, better known from Lost, but now part of 666 Park Avenue, Tom Felton from the Harry Potter films and Rise of the Planet of the Apes. And special musical guest, Ben Folds 5 will be performing a concert. One of the things about New York Comic Con that makes it different from some of the other conventions is that they go just about everywhere. It is not a specific genre convention. They hit just about everything you can think of. Television, film, horror, sci-fi, comedy. you name it, they hit it. Just like previous years, there's going to be a gigantic dealer's room where you can find just about any merchandise you can think of. Tons and tons and tons of panels. You could go and listen to either some of these stars talking about their experiences on the entertainment field, but tons of professional entertainment related panels having to do with comic book production, you name it, books, certain TV shows, movies, collecting, you name it. It is just unbelievable the amount of activities that you have. And let us not forget that even though Comic-Cons have grown, just like San Diego Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con has grown beyond its original intended comic themes, there is tons and tons of comic book related material. Stan Lee usually makes an appearance here or there, and most of the major news outlets end up covering the events in one way or the other. So don't forget to join us October 11th through the 14th. That's a Thursday through a Sunday at the Jacob Javits Center in New York City. See you there. Well, let's talk about a little bit of the other stuff that we saw. Keep in mind, this is just the first day. There's a lot of stuff going on that all over the place. But Mike, what else did you remember from that first day again?
One of the things I really enjoyed was they had Japanese Star Wars vegetable carving.
Okay.
It was a gentleman, and my Japanese is bad, but Okisugo Kato. He's part of the Star Wars Japanese fan community. He owns a restaurant. He's a sushi chef, and he carves vegetables. And he says they'll have meetings with the fan club for Japan in his restaurant. And what he'll do is he'll carve and make up things for the centerpieces on the trays for the sushi and all of his food. And he started off his presentation with all the different things that he's made from the vegetables. He's done R2-D2s.
Now, was he showing you a slideshow, or he actually had stuff there to see?
He started with a slideshow and just wanted to show everybody what he's done in the past. And then once he went through it, the slideshow lasted a good 10, 15 minutes. And once he did that, he then went into carving an R2 unit right in front of us. So he had the
Out of
screen. Oh, I don't remember the vegetable. He said he picked up the vegetable here in the U.S. And he went to the supermarket the day before, picked it up. And so he sat there carving it and cutting it down and shaving it. And he says use toothpicks to put things together. I know he used a carrot for different color. So it was pretty neat. He showed us a lot of different things. He did a Yoda, a TIE Fighter, X-Wing, an AT-AT, just so many. He even made a Millennium Falcon pastry that he served in the restaurant. Different droids, you name it. It just speeder bikes. It's just amazing.
I'm surprised he doesn't have a book out.
Yeah, no books that we're aware of. He's just a fan, but he's a sushi chef, and he owns his own restaurant. And this is how he celebrates the Star Wars, and by having all the fans from Japan go to his restaurant.
Wow. Well, one panel that I made was, and this was a little difficult because what was happening is the collector panels, the panels that had to do with collecting, at the end of each of those panels, they would have a freebie that they would give away. And this particular time around, they were giving away these things called Star Tots. Now, the Star Tots are a replica, if you will, of, not an exact replica, but a replica of these line of toys that we're going to put out when Star Wars originally came out. And they're basically, what they were going to be is, if you guys are familiar with the little people, the Fisher-Price little people, those little rubber, kind of fat head and fat bodies, little rubber toys, they were going to put out a line of those for Star Wars, but they never did. So what they did for this convention is they took the artwork from the card for the Star Tots, and then they replicated the actual figure in a little flat metal presentation. And everybody who attended these collector panels, at the end of the panel, if you sat through the whole panel, you would get one of these freebies. Now, because of that, you got a lot of crazy collectors out there and people that were just going to these panels, I believe, just to get those Star Tots at the end. And because of that, people were lining up for these panels way before the panels were over. So sometimes while you're sitting on one panel, people are already lining up for the following panel. So if you're sitting on a panel and you want to attend the next panel, you can't just stay in the room. You have to exit the room and then go get back online, basically on the same line you were on before, to re-enter a panel. So it took a little bit of getting used to that, because I remember last time it wasn't that crazy. The lines were not that huge just to get into regular panels. Panels, especially collector panels, are the type of things you used to be able to just walk in and out without too much of a hassle. Obviously, if you want to see a movie star or something, that's different. That you got to line up for. But this time around, even these little panels were kind of difficult.
That's the whole thing with being Star Wars fans. it's not just the movies. There's so many collectible items. When you really look at what's mass-produced between action figures, cereal boxes, music, pajamas, I mean, you name it, anything out there had Star Wars at one time. And that's what makes the collectibles so enticing, especially the panels when everybody gets a chance to get together. View some displays or presentations just on what people collect, like the music panel that we did. Who would think somebody just collects 8-tracks and LPs?
My point
and that's
is...
the point why I think all those people rush into those panels for collecting.
But that's the thing. I wanted to go in, not for the freebies. I wanted to see the panels themselves. And I think in the future what they're going to have to do is, if they're going to be giving out some kind of toy or some kind of collectible, knowing how crazy collectors are, that basically they'll spend the whole convention lining up waiting to get these freebies, they're going to have to use bigger rooms for these panels. This way you don't shut people out. And even if, let's say, for example, for these free giveaways, okay, you don't have enough to give everybody, that's fine. Say, when the panel is over, we do a random raffle and we give out 100 of these, even though the room has, let's say, 500 seats. This way, people don't miss out on the actual panel itself.
It's not just the collector panels, though, Carlos. Do you remember how I got with one of the Star Wars University panels?
Oh,
the
yeah.
Star Wars University panels are usually like how-to kind of things. There's a lot of writing panels. Timothy Zahn was there. That one I saw. But there was James Lucino. I wanted to go to his writing workshop. I was shocked. I showed up there, I think 15 minutes before, and it was full.
Right. But in a way, those are writers. Those are people that are...
There's some
level of celebrity to being a writer, especially those writers when it comes to Star Wars books. What I'm saying is, you need bigger rooms. Because when you add the extra bonus of getting a free collectible, then it makes it even worse. It's hard enough getting in there. Now it's 50% harder because now more people are showing up because they want a freebie.
They should have bigger rooms for that. But I mean, they've only got so many rooms in the convention center, It's just tough. I guess it's the nature of the beast when, you want to see so many of these panels, so many of these events. But the problem comes where, you got to wait hour ahead of time for something else while you're waiting for that thing to make sure you get in. You're missing something else. So
right, and this is a thing that I've always been complaining about is that, when you map out what you want to see, at least I ended up in situations where there are like 2 or 3 things happening almost at the same time, and not only do you have to pick one to go to, you have to hope you get into that one, and then if that one doesn't, if you can't get into that one, you have to map out what's your secondary place. But still, on the first day, I was able to get into the cast and crew items panel. Now, this is a panel that has to do with items that were never for sale. These are items that usually during a film, the production company gives away for free to either their cast, their crew, or maybe even promotional material, that is handed out. And for the Star Wars films, you're talking about things like, jackets, patches, stationery. Believe it or not, some people collect stationery because it's part of, the production of that film. For Star Wars, for Empire Strikes Back, we saw stuff like the winter gear used in Norway for the shoot of Empire, the raincoats used for Return of the Jedi, which are all labeled Blue Harvest because there's a ton of Blue Harvest. For those of you who don't know, that's the fake name they gave Return of the Jedi while they were filming it, so they would kind of throw people off the scent a little bit, but it didn't work that well. But there's tons of Blue Harvest material floating around that is very difficult to purchase. I mean, there is a market out there, but it's, the pricing is very odd because obviously if it never had a price to begin with, how do you put a price on something that was never priced? It's not exactly prop collecting because that's a whole other area, but it's a market that's a side market. It's off to the side. And some of these collections are super extensive in terms of, like I said before, patches, hats, shirts, jackets. I remember during Star Wars, Gary Kurtz would give away these lucite stars that would say Star Wars on them to, some of the key people and stuff like that. And one of the reasons they were having this panel was because the people running the panel just put out a book all about collecting cast and crew items. So that's one way, obviously, if you can't afford to, like most of us, buy these actual cast and crew items, which were very well made. At least there's a book out there that you can kind of keep track of it, other than visiting, the Sand Sweets Rancho Obi-Wan or buying some of his books, which he does collect a lot of that stuff too. But this is a book they put out exclusively about collecting cast and crew items. Anything else you guys remember from Thursday?
Yeah, you were just talking about books, and I went to a panel on Thursday that Ashley Eckstein, she's the voice of Ahsoka Tano in the Clone Wars, she was hosting a panel on a book called Bullied, written by a woman called Carrie Goldman. And this book came about because this mom, she noticed her daughter, who was 7 years old in the first grade, she all of a sudden didn't want to take her Star Wars thermos to school anymore. And, she couldn't figure out why. And eventually she figured out that kids were making fun of her, that it's a boy thing. And she was getting, tormented for liking Star Wars. So this mom was venting to some friends online. And then all of a sudden, it spiraled into, fans, sci-fi fans, women, especially women from all over, lending support, saying, don't feel bad, Katie, that's her daughter's name. And eventually her mom wrote this book. And it was a fascinating panel. The book actually had some stuff in there that I hadn't heard of before. And I'm very big in with bully conferences in school and stuff like that. And so, if you haven't heard of it before, it's Bullied, What Every Parent, Teacher, and Kid Needs to Know About Ending the Cycle of Fear by Carrie Goldman. And it's by Harper One Publishing. And the funny thing about it is that most people that are into, Star Wars, sci-fi, and things like that, you haven't been bullied. You probably know someone that has been. So anyway, check out her book.
Well, I remember from when that story first broke about the little girl, the Star Wars girl that got bullied, the thermos that she had, it's the same thermos I used to have and I used to bring to work every day. And it was I was like, let somebody say something about this. I was like, please, somebody start with me, please.
Poor little Carly.
How are you, Mike?
Yeah, the other thing that I enjoyed was building a styrene droid. If you ever want your own astromech droid, they have panels on how you can build it from scratch.
All different materials.
All different materials. This would happen to be styrene.
Now, what is styrene?
Styrene is plastic.
Okay.
They also had one for metal, aluminum. So they had several different panels, but yes, you can also make them out of wood. And there's a club, there's an Astromech Builders Club. It's on the Yahoo groups.
And they had their own room there
and
displaying their wares.
Correct, yeah. They had all the people that actually built them all on display. And it's all Astromechs. It's just not R2-D2. But they said for under $2,000, and it'll take you about a year, you can build your very own Astromech droid, paint them, do whatever you want.
Because this club, from what I understand, they will not sell you a droid. They
Correct.
will only show you how to build it.
Yes. You can only build it. You cannot sell it. If you want to buy parts to build the droid and sell it, they will not sell it to you. They have an understanding with George Lucas that, yes, we just want to build it and make them. We're not out to sell. But it's very interesting because they tell you how you can make your own droids. They have all the blueprints. If you want to make it out of, again, start with a wood base or metal, aluminum, you name it, you can do it.
And they were there before. I remember they were there on Celebration 5. They're amazing what these things look like when they're done. Completely remote control. All kinds of interactivity features built into them. I remember they had one this time that would play the message and project onto a wall the Leia message from Star Wars. It's just ridiculous what these things do.
They said you can go basic. For around $2,000, you can just get an Astromech droid that just rolls around. He's remote controlled, and you can have a lot of fun. That's with no lights. If you want lights and sounds and projections, they play music. That goes higher and higher, but they said you can start with around $2,000. And there was a gentleman there that said he built it on his kitchen table. He doesn't have a house. He lived in an apartment. He got all the blueprints and everything from the club, and he would just build it and follow all the directions and cut and paint, did all in his house. So he says, people, you don't need a garage. You don't need a driveway. You just need space. And it took him, he said, 10 months to build.
Don't get any ideas, pal, please. No.
Yeah, I was thinking about borrowing your garage because, I live in an apartment, but now I don't need the house because it's been proved that anybody can do it. Just need the room.
Besides, have you seen my garage, dude? It's no go.
We can clean it out.
Well, as I said before, if anyone ever has a chance, visit them, visit their display areas in future conventions or future celebrations. I always go in there. It's great. I take pictures of every single item they have in there.
And the one nice thing, too, is there's all the people that are friendly. There's no secrets. You ask them, how much did you spend? How did you do this? Where did you get the blueprints? How did you get the lights? They'll tell you exactly where
And they
where
spread
get it from.
themselves out in that area where, like, there's one guy that is showing you all about LED displays and stuff like that. Then another guy is showing you about, like, stickers, how to make the actual stickers you put on them and stuff like that. You know, one guy is all about batteries, how to power these things. 'Cause these are remote control units, most of them. And even in the convention, not only do they have, like, a parade of all this R2-D2s, but then they have races sometimes, and then people can watch the racing.
Yeah, they have droid racing. I don't remember what day it was, but it was either on Saturday or Sunday. All the droids that were made, you can sit and race the droids through an obstacle course and everything. So it's a lot of fun.
Usually, I remember when Lucas shows up to the celebrations, which he sometimes does unannounced, like he did on this one, he will go visit some of these displays. And I remember they asked him a couple times about, you know, what does he think of the R2 builders? And he was like, you know, he had so much trouble getting his R2s to work back in the 70s. He wishes he had these guys around because now they perfected it so much. Even not so much in film, but these individual people, they have so many good remote control devices that they use that it's a cinch the way that these things perform for you.
A lot of the gentlemen that build them, they said they're computer engineers, electrical engineers.
Well, yeah.
Some of them are not your ordinary guys. But like the electronics, the guy with the lights, he's actually an electrical engineer. He designed and builds the circuit boards and the lights, and that's how you can get it, because he actually creates it all. But it is interesting. It's amazing how they work. The controllers are your remote control cars.
Yeah, I saw them walking around there, and it's like those remote, you know, the dual thumb remotes, and that's it.
Dual thumb. It's the same thing. They said they don't go crazy. You would think it's really hard, but when you really look inside and you look and see what they're doing and you talk to them, it's not that you're recreating motors and all these servos and programming. A lot of the motors were used from wheelchairs. It's a wheelchair motor.
Right, that's right.
One of the guys said that the way he made the dome of his R2-D2 move was from a sit and spin. He just added a motor.
Oh, my God.
It's a sit and spin. He goes, yeah, your kids probably have one in the garage. It's broken. He looked at it and went, hey, I think I can use that. And he put it in, and that's how he makes the dome rotate.
I remember seeing one guy who actually had an R2 unit who would activate the third leg. In other words, the third leg wasn't already built into him. The third leg was inside of the unit, and he would hit a button, and the whole droid would shift forward, and the third leg would come out, which is different than most of the other ones that are just sitting there already in that mode, in that three-leg mode.
Again, that goes back to how far you want to design it.
That's a little advanced.
You can go from the basic that it rolls, or you can go into the really advanced. And it's all color schemes. They don't.
Oh, yeah. They
pick any colors they want.
Right, they do whatever they want. They customize everything.
You want pink and black? Here's a pink and black astromech droid. You want yellow? He's yellow. It doesn't matter.
The gold and black, that's my favorite.
I like them all. It's just amazing what you can do. And yeah, I keep saying I want to try that, but do I have $2,000 and 10 months? 10 months worth of work.
It's also a lot of time. I mean, time-wise, it's
yeah, they say it's a
big
lot of
project.
time. And the thing, too, really, is you got to join the club. The club will actually make a dome, and they'll sit and they'll produce, say, 20 or 30 domes because they know people are upgrading their droids. So you just tell them, look, I need a new dome, and they'll do a special run because, again, a lot of the players, they'll go out to these contractors or metalsmiths, these shops that they do custom work, and they'll guarantee, well, look, we'll do 30 domes for us. How much? We get a discount. You pay the money.
Right.
And they're done. So they won't do one, but they'll do 30. And that's how also they do a lot of electronics. They'll go to stores and manufacturers like, hey, we'll do a mass run of 30, and then now everybody will have the same electronics. So it's pretty interesting. But again, 10 months, grand or more. It's a lot.
That's
It's
another.
a big
That's a couple
commitment.
of vacations right there.
It's a commitment for me, plus being a collector of other things. Yeah, I'd have to stop doing something.
Well, the last thing I want to talk about for Thursday was after the convention was over, we had tickets to go to a podcasting party. And what that one was, it was the combination Star Wars Action News / Yak Face party. And what this consists of is basically two websites that kind of pool in their money to throw a big party. And last time around, we had gone to the Force.net party, which is another podcaster who's all about Star Wars. And this time around, we switched to this other one just to try out a different one. This was close to the convention. We just drove a little bit further north from the convention site. And it was basically all the fans of those two websites. They come in there. There was food. We were eating there, drinking stuff. They had raffles, which was something they were talking about. And everybody who went into the party got a ticket for the raffle. And we won, actually the kids won, 2 prizes. One of them was a Hallmark desk bar, with a little saying from Yoda. And the other one was a Kurubuki, Millennium Falcon ice tray. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with those, a couple years ago, they put out and we bought the Han Solo in the carbon freezing ice tray and also the R2-D2 ice tray. So now we have a third ice tray for our Star Wars ices if we have to make ice in the shape of Star Wars. But you know how often that happens just about every other day.
I love my Millennium Falcon ice cube tray. 1 ice cube is enough for a cooler drink perfectly.
Right. The catch is that these ice trays, because of the size, you're supposed to use them for ice, but apparently they also work for like chocolates. If you make chocolate candies, you can put them in there too. And the catch is that because they're so large, you can only get about 2 cubes, of these shapes, whether it's the R2-D2 or the Millennium Falcon. So if you wanted to really have a party with a lot of this type of ice, you probably spend a day or two just making ice. Actually more, because 2 at a time, it takes a couple hours. So it might take you a week really to have enough ice for a party if you want those shapes.
I didn't win anything.
Yeah, Mike got lucky last time. Last time on the 2010 party, Mike, got some good prizes. This time, he got Bicus. But
He got to talk to a girl.
and not only a girl, but he also got to talk to a Slave Leia girl who was dressed, and we were chit-chatting with her. And the cake at the party was a giant Jabba the Hutt cake with Leia cake, with the Leia shape and a Jabba the Hutt shape. And everybody at the end, they were cutting up the Jabba, and it was kind of weird, actually.
Jeez, Kim, you make it sound like I don't talk to girls.
A Star Wars fan? What are we talking about?
I think that cake was awesome. That was a really awesome cake. And, kudos to Arnie and Marjorie for putting on such a great, fun event. We had a great time.
We had a great time. All of us also got free shirts at the party. Part of the ticket covered their party shirt. So that was a pretty exhausting day because, like I said before, usually, you're done with the convention, you just go and crash in your hotel. But we had those extra couple of hours of being at a party, which was pretty tiring. So this pretty much wraps up our first day. Join us again next time where we're going to talk about our second day and what other crazy stuff we did during this convention. So on behalf of everyone here, Mike, Kim, Kyle, and myself, we will see you here next time on Geekfest Rants. Bye-bye, everybody. Stop.